The untold stories of women in the Bible. The Bible isn't just the story of kings, prophets, and apostles. It's also the story of mothers, warriors, queens, and prophets who shaped the course of faith. Today, we embark on a journey to rediscover the women of the Bible, their sacrifices, triumphs, and their unwavering faith in the face of unimaginable odds. Their stories are not just ancient tales, they are timeless lessons for us all. For generations, many Bible stories highlighted the mighty acts of men. Moses parting the Red Sea, David slaying Goliath, Paul spreading the gospel. These narratives are essential. Yet woven through the same scriptures are stories of women who showed unparalleled bravery, wisdom, and devotion. Take Deborah, a fearless judge and prophet who led Israel to victory when no man would step forward. Ruth, the outsider, the Moabite, whose loyalty to Naomi and faith in God led her to become an ancestor of King David. Esther's courage saved a people, standing before the king and risking death to intercede for her people. Mary Magdalene stands out as one of the most devoted followers of Jesus, her story woven deeply into the fabric of the Gospels. When nearly everyone else had fled in fear, Mary Magdalene remained at the foot of the cross, her heart breaking as she witnessed the suffering and death of the one she called Lord. In that moment of darkness, when hope seemed lost and the world was shrouded in grief, Mary's faith did not waver. She was not only present at the crucifixion, but also among the first to visit the tomb after the Sabbath, driven by love and loyalty. It was there, in the quiet of the early morning, that she encountered the risen Christ. In a profound act of grace, Jesus chose Mary Magdalene to be the very first witness to his resurrection, entrusting her with the message that would change the world forever. Mary's unwavering devotion, even in the darkest and most uncertain moments, speaks volumes about her faith and courage. She did not allow fear or despair to silence her love for Jesus. Instead, she became a living example of steadfastness, her tears and prayers echoing through the centuries as a testament to the power of hope. Her willingness to seek Jesus, even when all seemed lost, reveals a heart that trusted in God's promises. Mary Magdalene's story reminds us that faith is not just about believing in the light, but about holding on through the night, trusting that dawn will come. But Mary was not alone in her devotion. Alongside her stood other faithful women like Joanna, Salome, and Mary, the mother of James, who also followed Jesus throughout his ministry. These women supported him and his disciples, not only with their presence but with their resources, their time, and their compassion. They traveled with Jesus from town to town, listening to his teachings, caring for the needs of the group, and offering encouragement when the journey grew difficult. In a society where women's voices were often overlooked, these women chose to stand with Jesus, their quiet strength and generosity making a profound impact on the early Christian community. These women were not just bystanders in the story of redemption. They were true participants, playing vital roles in the unfolding of God's plan. They listened, learned, and shared what they had received. They offered hospitality, opened their homes, and created spaces where the message of Jesus could be heard and lived out. Their faithfulness and willingness to serve became a foundation for the early church, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. Through their actions, they demonstrated that every act of love, no matter how small, is seen and valued by God. The legacy of Mary Magdalene and the other faithful women continues to inspire believers today. Their stories remind us that God sees and honors the devotion of those who follow him, no matter their role or status. Whether in moments of great courage or quiet acts of service, faithfulness is never forgotten. Each of us is invited to participate in the story of redemption, to bring our gifts, our prayers, and our love to the work of God in the world. Like Mary Magdalene and her companions, we are called to stand firm in faith, to seek Jesus with all our hearts, and to share the hope of the resurrection with a world in need. One powerful truth stands out. Women were never an afterthought in God's story. From the very first pages of Scripture, we see that women were created with intention, dignity, and purpose. They were not added as an afterthought or a supporting role, but were woven into the very fabric of God's plan for humanity. Their presence is not a footnote, but a central part of the narrative, echoing through every generation and every story. From the very beginning, their presence and purpose were intentional and meaningful. In the creation story, Eve is described as a partner, a helper suitable for Adam, not in a lesser sense, but as an equal and essential companion. Throughout the Old Testament, we encounter women who are leaders, prophets, mothers, and warriors. Their stories are not hidden in the shadows, but shine brightly as examples of faith, courage, and resilience. God wove their stories into the fabric of his plan, giving them unique roles and voices. Think of Miriam, who led the Israelites in worship after the Exodus, or Deborah, who judged and led Israel with wisdom and strength. Ruth's loyalty and courage changed the course of her family's destiny, and Esther's bravery saved an entire nation. These women were not silent or passive. They were active participants in God's unfolding story, using their gifts and voices to make a difference. Through their bravery, wisdom, and faith, women have shaped the course of history in ways that still inspire us today. Their stories remind us that God values the contributions of women, not just in private or behind the scenes, but in public, visible, and powerful ways. Whether it was standing up for justice, nurturing families, or leading communities, women have always played a vital role in God's redemptive work. Their influence echoes through the ages, reminding us that every act of faithfulness matters. It's honestly pretty amazing to realize that in every generation, God has called and equipped women to fulfill his purposes. From the ancient world to today, women continue to answer that call, studying Scripture, leading with compassion, and serving with strength. Their stories are a testament to God's faithfulness and creativity, showing us that no one is overlooked or forgotten in his kingdom. As we look back at the lives of these remarkable women, we are reminded that each of us, regardless of gender, has a unique and valuable part to play in God's story. Women were never an afterthought. They are, and always have been, a vital part of God's beautiful design for humanity. From the very first pages of Genesis to the final words of Revelation, women have played indispensable and often surprising roles in God's unfolding story. Their presence is woven throughout the tapestry of Scripture, sometimes in the spotlight, sometimes behind the scenes, but always significant. In a world where their voices were often overlooked, God consistently chose women to carry out his purposes, demonstrating that his call knows no boundaries of gender, status, or background. Throughout the Bible, we encounter women who were prophets, leaders, teachers, mothers, and friends, each one uniquely gifted and called for a purpose. Deborah, for example, was a judge and prophetess who led Israel with wisdom and courage. Miriam, the sister of Moses, played a vital role in the Exodus, leading the people in worship and song. Esther risked her life to save her people, demonstrating extraordinary bravery and faith. These women and many others were not just passive participants, but active agents in God's redemptive plan. Their stories remind us that God values the contributions of every person, regardless of their circumstances. Ruth, a foreigner and widow, became the great-grandmother of King David because of her loyalty and faith. Hannah's heartfelt prayers led to the birth of Samuel, one of Israel's greatest prophets. Mary Magdalene, once marginalized, was the first to witness the risen Christ and share the good news with the disciples. These women's lives show us that faithfulness, courage, and devotion can change the course of history. The examples of these women challenge us to step out in faith, trust God's promises, and use our gifts for his glory. They encourage us to support one another, to lead with compassion, and to serve with humility. Their stories invite us to see ourselves as part of God's ongoing story, where every act of faith, no matter how small, matters deeply to him. We are reminded that God often works through those the world might overlook, using ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. The legacy of these women continues to encourage and inspire believers around the world today. Their faith, resilience, and obedience echo through the generations, reminding us that God's story is still being written in and through our lives. As we reflect on their journeys, may we be inspired to embrace our own callings, trusting that God can use each of us, regardless of our background or circumstances, to make a lasting impact for His kingdom. Which woman in the Bible inspires you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your favorite story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through Scripture, make sure to watch our next video. There's always more to discover. So thanks for being part of this conversation with us. Many blessings and much favor until we meet again.